Hi you guys, welcome back. So in the last video I made about the protests going on in Portland, Oregon, I talked about this lady right here, Cloud Evangrill. And yes, that is her name. I mean, what do you expect? It is Portland, Oregon, okay? But that's not what we're here to talk about. As I said in my last video, I went over how she filed a lawsuit against the city of Portland due to Portland city officials' non-response to these protesters being extremely destructive and disruptive to the residents that live in that area. Now, as I've mentioned before, most of these protesters are not from Portland, Oregon, and they're just paid individuals who could care less about the mess and chaos that they leave behind. Before we go a little further into this video, you guys, if you're new here and like what you hear, please hit that like button for me, and if you're a returning subscriber, please remember to leave it a like as well. Also, hitting that notification bell will keep you guys updated on any new videos that I put out. Whichever one of those you choose to do, or all of them, it's really going to help my channel out. So Cloud Evangrill's claims in the lawsuit points out that the city is not enforcing its noise ordinance by allowing these so-called peaceful protesters to go on and on all types of the day and night making noise, and in some cases the noise has apparently caused her ears to bleed. Yeah. So Cloud Evangrill is not the only resident who is completely fed up with this situation. And a reporter named Katie Davis-Court, who's been doing an amazing job covering the situation in Portland, Oregon, interviewed a resident who was not afraid to voice his frustration with the ongoing riot happening at the ICE building, which he says he lives in close proximity of.
Go home? I said, where do you guys live at? Let's go to your house. Let's go to your community. And let's do it in front of your mama's house. Let's see how you gotta like it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Do you feel helpless, kind of?
Yes.
So as we can see, this man is just completely fed up. And he makes a good point, you know, telling these protesters, hey, go do this in front of your mother's house. Really, like, do this in front of the house where you live. If this was happening in front of their houses, chances are they would not be in support of this type of action happening day and night, 24/7 outside of where they lived. So after Cloud Evangrill put in for this lawsuit, the city cleaned up the tents in the area where the protesters were, but that only lasted for maybe about 24 hours because they were back at it again.
They're back!
Until this day, their so-called protesting, vandalism of city property, and outright violent behavior is still being allowed to carry on outside of the Portland, Oregon ICE facility. But now there seems to be a little more pressure being put on these protesters, okay? They're beginning to feel a little bit of heat. Some of them are being arrested. And now, since they know they can't just full on take their energy and frustrations, whatever the case may be, out on the Portland ICE building and the ICE agents, they're turning this anger and rage towards journalists, okay, and independent reporters. Basically anyone with a camera who is not on their side.
Outside the ICE facility right now, they're starting to get a little rambunctious, and then when they saw me, then they started taking their anger out on me, and I had, I think, about 15 of them swarm me.
And you'll see these protesters cursing and at sometimes advancing towards these independent journalists who are out there trying to get footage of what's going on. Case in point, this is Katie Davis-Court, a reporter, like I said, who's out there and constantly giving updates on the situation. In this video, we can see this man who appears to be approaching her from the side or back, and as she turns around, he's just like right there, okay? And he appears to have some kind of item behind his back, like a bat or a hockey stick. At one point, he even throws water her way. And the rest of the group, you know, just sitting there all blasé, just relaxing, you know, chilling. It's a nice day outside. They seem to be completely okay with anything that this individual might be willing to do to this woman who was just recording in the public, okay? And I can't stress that enough, you guys. She's recording in public. These people choose to go out and put themselves in the public light, fighting for someone's political ideology. And I say someone because honestly, I don't believe a lot of these people even know the real reason they're being sent out there to protest. And I don't think they even care what the outcome is, as long as they get a check.
Money, please!
So, like I said, these protesters are now attacking the people who are out just trying to film, people who are braving the elements and hostile environment that these protesters have caused. Now, many of these protesters are angry, aggressive people who are probably unhappy with their own lives or so bored with their privileged lives with no real problems. So they have to go out and join a cause and make problems for themselves and others around them. They are brainwashed into believing that rioting and looting and hurling insults at people will solve whatever problems they feel exist within the system, right? A system that I'm sure they're benefiting from in some way, but at the same time, they're out there yelling and screaming like little children how wrong the system is. I mean, make it make sense, you guys, right?
Because I want to fit in.
At least that's how I feel. That's how I see the situation. And that's how I see it when you see a lot of these individuals out there protesting. When you hear them talk and you see who they are, it's like, okay, you know, your life is so good, you have nothing else to do, so you're gonna go out here, you're gonna throw rocks at buildings and break windows to make your life more interesting and have something to talk to your friends about, basically. And so another reason why I feel these people are so against being filmed is that they only want their narrative of the situation to get out. They don't want independent journalists in there just taping all the nasty, unnecessary things they're saying and doing during these so-called protests. So with all this rioting and so-called protesting going on, there's real angst in the city of Portland, Oregon right now. People are afraid that there's going to be a repeat of the 2020 George Floyd riots. If you guys don't know, George Floyd was an African-American male who was killed in broad daylight by a police officer. And so in result, multiple cities within the US and even across seas, people were just busting out in riots almost all across the world. Okay, so it was a big deal. So Portland, Oregon's protest started off peacefully, all right, in a park, and by nightfall it turned into full-blown LA riot status. Okay, just about, not quite, but just about there with it. Let's watch a little bit of what that was like in 2020 and how Portland's city officials and mayor reacted to those riots. Did they react accordingly? I guess that's the question.
Mayor Wheeler, thank you for joining us. First of all, let me tell you how sorry I am to hear about your mother, and this has got to be a really difficult night for you.
It is, and to be clear, I'm not with her. I'm with family members. She is dying, and we are preparing and planning for the next step for her. This is obviously hard. It's very personal for me, but so is watching my city get destroyed. And so I am returning to Portland. I'll be available for an early morning press conference. Here's what I see. This morning started out with such beautiful and heartfelt tributes to George Floyd. And what we have right now is something completely different. This is a riot. It's a full-on riot. We see people burning cars. We see people damaging businesses, large and small. What I see here does not honor in any way the legacy of George Floyd. This is something completely different. This does not reflect our community. And to the people who are still out on the streets engaged in this behavior, my message to you is go home. You are doing nobody a favor. Go home.
So the mayor was condemning it, all right? He was out of town at the time dealing with his dying mother, but he said he was going to be back in there and he was going to take action. Fast forward down the road, this is what it looked like outside of the courthouse in downtown Portland. Okay, I don't know what action was really taken. Apparently not that much, because from this video, we can see there are individuals who have thrown Molotov cocktails across this fence. And this fence actually had to be erected after the riot started. It was not at that courthouse before. It had to be built because these protesters or rioters were continuously breaking windows, breaking into the courthouse with no real consequences. I mean, for Portland to have not had like the National Guard or as many resources available at that time to them to stop all this madness. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable that they let that go on for so long. So just to give you guys a little bit of timeline from when the peaceful protest started happening to this riot madness that you see before you. The protest started in May of 2020, and this video is from July of 2020. So the mayor huffing and puffing his chest, on that video saying, "Go home, go home."
Go home. You are doing nobody a favor. Go home.
Go home.
Like, okay, you're just going to tell them to go home. These are not like kids out past, curfew, out playing by the streetlights. These are grown adults throwing Molotov cocktails, towards the police, towards the courthouse, downtown in your city. And all you can say is go home.
Go home.
It's ridiculous. This is the level of insanity that Portland, Oregon downtown area was allowed to get to. And due to that riot, a lot of people lost their businesses. A lot of people lost their jobs. Some people lost their cars. And downtown Portland turned into kind of a deserted zone. So after Portland experienced that 2020 riot, that is probably what a lot of its residents are afraid of, that this ICE demonstration protest will turn into something like that.
This looks strangely familiar.
It's because we've been here before.
That's why this is such a big story, because Portland, Oregon is such a liberal city. They pretty much just let people do whatever they want. I heard they legalized fentanyl, but I looked it up and it said they decriminalized it. Okay, sounds like a play on words to me, and sounds like something that should have never been done. So now there's rampant drug use, there's rampant homelessness, there's rampant theft. It's just turned into a hole, right? But through all this, what are the city officials doing? Pretty much their silence says it all. They're in total support of, this little riot that's going on in front of the ICE building. They're okay with Portland residents being affected by all this commotion, all this loud noise. And in some cases, some residents' lives are even being threatened by these individuals and these protest groups. There seems to be nothing that will get the city's attention. I guess unless someone got really hurt or worse, God forbid, but I just don't see them doing anything. You guys, let me know what you think about this situation going on in Portland, Oregon. Why don't you think the city is getting involved in ensuring that its own residents are safe and heard? Let me know down in the comments what you feel about this ongoing protest in Portland, Oregon. And if you enjoyed my video, you guys, please remember to leave it a like. And if you're new here, subscribe.